The desperate roars echoed across the Serengeti plains, carrying an urgency Samuel Mutai had never before heard in his 15 years as a senior ranger at Tanzania's most famous national park. This was not the typical territorial call of a male lion, but something more primal, a cry for help. Immediately, Samuel redirected his patrol jeep toward the commotion, his experienced hands steady on the wheel despite the adrenaline. What he discovered upon cresting a small rise would challenge everything he knew about predator dynamics. In a clearing surrounded by acacia trees, a chaotic scene unfolded. A massive African rock python had wrapped its powerful coils around a young lioness, constricting her chest and neck. More astonishingly, a large male lion, Jabari, the dominant male of the Makali pride, recognizable by his dark-tipped mane, was frantically trying to free her. His massive paws batted at the snake while he took care not to injure the struggling female. This lioness was Nala, Jabari's favorite mate and one of the pride's primary hunters. At a tense distance stood 3 more lionesses and another young male, all members of the same pride. They watched the life and death struggle with evident distress, unable to intervene effectively against the powerful constrictor. Samuel's training was explicit: never interfere with natural predator interactions. No matter how dramatic, nature's course was to be respected. But this situation defied conventional dynamics. Pythons rarely targeted adult lions. This was likely an unusual accident, perhaps a defensive response triggered when the lioness surprised the snake. The ranger knew that losing Nala would devastate the pride structure. She was not only Jabari's preferred mate but also the mother of the pride's youngest, still dependent cubs. Her death could trigger a cascade of consequences. Samuel radioed headquarters, his voice tense. "This is Ranger Mutai in Grid Section E7. Python attack on a lioness from the Makali pride. The male is attempting intervention but failing. Requesting permission for Emergency Protocol 5C. The response was immediate and negative. Negative. Ranger Mutai. Natural predator interactions are strictly non-intervention. Return to your patrol route." Samuel watched as Jabari roared in frustration, his powerful jaws unable to grip the python without endangering Nala further. The lioness's struggles were visibly weakening. In that moment, Samuel made a career-defining decision. "I can't stand by and watch this," he muttered. Switching off his radio, he grabbed his snake hook and heavy gloves from the emergency kit and cautiously approached. The risk was enormous. He was placing himself between multiple apex predators. Yet something in Jabari's behavior gave him hope. The male lion seemed to understand the python was the primary threat, focusing entirely on freeing his mate. "Easy, Jabari," Samuel said in a low, steady voice. "I'm here to help." The lion's eyes flicked toward him briefly before returning to the python, a response Samuel interpreted as reluctant tolerance. Moving with deliberate calm, the ranger approached from the python's tail end. The snake, now threatened by both lion and human, constricted even tighter. Samuel had seconds to act. Using the snake hook, he gained leverage under one of the coils, applying steady pressure. What happened next occurred with such synchronized precision it would later seem choreographed. As Samuel pulled upward, creating momentary slack, Jabari seemed to intuitively understand. The massive lion thrust his paw into the small gap. The python, fighting 2 threats, made a critical mistake. It slightly loosened its grip to reposition. That momentary relaxation was all Jabari needed. With explosive strength, he clamped his jaws around the snake's body. Not to kill, but to pull, creating more space. Samuel maintained his leverage, grabbing another section of the python. For a surreal moment, man and lion worked in perfect coordination against a common enemy. Their synchronized movement created enough space for Nala to gasp a desperate breath. With renewed strength, she struggled against the remaining coils. With a final coordinated effort, they created enough space for her to wriggle free, her body sliding from the python's loosened embrace. The moment she cleared the coils, Jabari's demeanor changed instantly. His focus shifted from rescue to retribution. Samuel recognized the danger immediately and began a careful backward retreat toward his vehicle. The male lion acknowledged his movement with a glance but remained focused on dispatching the snake. Samuel reached his jeep, his heart pounding. He had violated the park's most fundamental protocol. By any rational assessment, he should be dead. Instead, he watched as Jabari finished the snake. Grabbing his radio, Samuel knew he needed to report. Headquarters. This is Ranger Mutai. I need to speak with Director Okafor immediately. Priority 1. Director Nadia Okafor's voice came through moments later. Concern evident. Ranger Mutai. This is highly irregular. What's happened? Quote. Samuel took a deep breath. Director. I've intervened in a predator conflict. A python was killing a lioness from the Macali Pride. I assisted in freeing her. I need to report a protocol violation. The silence stretched. You did what? The director's voice was dangerously quiet. Your location now. Do not leave the scene. As Samuel waited, he observed the pride's behavior through his binoculars. What he witnessed defied everything known about lion behavior toward humans. Nala, though wounded, was looking directly at his vehicle. Jabari had finished killing the python. Most remarkably, the male lion repeatedly glanced between the dead snake and Samuel's vehicle, his posture lacking typical territorial aggression. 20 minutes later, Director Okafor arrived, followed by Dr. Ibrahim, the park's chief wildlife veterinarian. The director's expression was thunderous. 15 years of exemplary service. And you throw it away on a foolhardy rescue attempt, she began. Do you have any idea of the precedent this sets? Quote. Samuel nodded. I understand the protocol violation. Director. I take full responsibility. The consequences will be significant, she assured him grimly. As they debated, Samuel noticed movement. Jabari had separated from the group and was approaching their vehicles. Not with a stalking posture, but with a direct, purposeful gait. He stopped approximately 15 meters away. Nobody move, Director Okafor whispered. Instead of charging, Jabari did something that would later be analyzed by wildlife behaviorists worldwide. He sat down in the grass, looked directly at Samuel's vehicle, and dipped his head slightly before rising and returning to his pride. Did he just? Dr. Ibrahim began, his scientific skepticism battling what he had witnessed. Acknowledge me? Samuel finished quietly. Yes, I believe he did. Director Okafor remained silent, processing the implications. Finally, she turned to Samuel. Your dashboard camera, was it running? Quote. Samuel nodded. Standard protocol. It captured everything. Good, she said decisively. Because without video evidence, no one would believe this. The following days brought a whirlwind of activity. The video evidence was irrefutable. A human ranger and a male lion had worked in apparent coordination. The scientific implications were extraordinary. We need a controlled research response, Director Okafor finally decided. Dr. Ibrahim will lead a specialized observation team. In the meantime, all rangers will receive explicit reinforcement that the non-intervention protocol remains in full effect. Ranger Mutai's actions are not to be emulated. When Samuel returned from his suspension, he was reassigned to patrol the Macali Pride's territory, officially for observation, unofficially because of the lion's unusual tolerance of his presence. What unfolded over the subsequent weeks challenged fundamental assumptions. The entire pride displayed unprecedented behavior when Samuel's vehicle approached. Jabari, in particular, demonstrated actions that defied explanation, approaching and maintaining eye contact. The most extraordinary incident occurred 1 month after the python attack. Samuel arrived at his post to find Jabari waiting beside a freshly killed gazelle. The male lion made eye contact, then deliberately backed away from the kill. "He's offering you a gift," Dr. Ibrahim whispered. "A thank you." After extensive safety precautions and consultation, Dr. Ibrahim used a remote darting system to sedate and treat an infected wound on Nala, while Jabari watched without interference. As the weeks passed, the Macaulay pride's unique relationship with Samuel became both a scientific treasure and a closely guarded secret. A landmark paper was eventually published. Possible reciprocal altruism and recognition behaviors observed in wild lions. The implications were clear. These predators had demonstrated cognitive capabilities previously unrecognized. For Samuel, the scientific debate was secondary to his daily reality. He never exited his vehicle. Yet the connection that had formed with Jabari had fundamentally changed his understanding. On the 1-year anniversary, Samuel was conducting observations when Jabari approached, accompanied by Nala and 2 small cubs. The male lion settled just 8 meters away, the closest he had ever voluntarily come. The cubs watched curiously as Jabari gazed steadily at the human who had once reached across the species divide. "I see you, old friend," Samuel said quietly. "Thank you for changing how we see you." 2. The incident ultimately transformed the park's approach to predator research, establishing new protocols for observing complex behaviors. The Macaulay pride continued to thrive, their territory expanding, and while safari vehicles came and went, only one Green Ranger Jeep was ever permitted to approach within Jabari's inner comfort zone. A unique privilege granted to the human who had revealed something profound about the creatures with whom we share this planet.